Welcome to Stanley Kramer's reunion with the great comedy artists of our time. Stanley's special guests tonight are Sid Caesar, Buddy Hackett, and Jonathan Winters. Ladies and gentlemen, Stanley Kramer.
Well, tonight, our business is comedy. It's a strange thing, my introduction to comedy, anyhow, and my being here at all. I've always been associated with heavy drama, until one moving picture called It's a Mad, 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 Mad World. That film changed my life in a lot of ways. And I want to tell you, I think I changed the lives of a lot of other people with that film. I learned a lot from it. Comedy is a grim business, for one thing. That's one thing I found out. It's a grim business because until you have seen comedians perspire and sweat and suffer to achieve a piece of timing, to hit something right on the button, you really have never understood what real suffering can be. And that's why I think it's a grim business, because it's a tough, tough job, and it's more than a journeyman's job. You've got to know a craft. Now, from that, plus the fact that there are so many great variations in humor, for example, why do we laugh at certain things? That always intrigued me. I've seen people slip on a banana peel and almost break their back. And I've watched people roar their heads off. As a matter of fact, in Mad World, I ended the entire picture, really, with Ethel Merman slipping on a banana peel because she was really the heavy, raucous, annoying person in the film. And all the people in the film, all the others who were in hospital beds, needed a big laugh, and they got it watching her really break her neck on a banana peel. But I've never understood why it is that under such circumstances, with the stakes being that high, people can laugh so raucously, a peculiar kind of evil menace to humor. We've got the experts tonight to explain a few of these things to us. Now, comedy can go flat, and it's got to be nurtured, and it's got to be provoked. Whichever way we go tonight, we're going to give it both knees. We'll be back in just a minute after these commercials with Buddy Hackett, Jonathan Winters, and Sid Caesar, and we're coming right at you with this. Just a minute.
Honey, what?
Ladies and gentlemen, my friends and companions, Mr. Sid Caesar.
How do you do?
Mr. Jonathan Winters. Mr. Buddy Hackett.
Yes.
It's been a long time between drinks, gentlemen.
It's been a long time between shots.
Remember the night we stood up on the hill and we worked all day on a scene?
It was a Saturday.
Oh, yeah. And I thought we shouldn't make the scene.
I remember asking you one time, we stayed all day from 8 o'clock in the morning till 5 o'clock at night shooting this one scene because Stanley wanted a master shot. And it was, I had the scene where I had, now there's two people in one car and we saw the accident, right? So we get one for each and one for the car and then one for going down. And then they said, wait a minute, and he was driving a truck by himself. He says, well, I only get one for myself and one for going down. And then Buddy and had Mickey Rooney.
Yeah.
So it was a scene that was going on. There was no cue. There was no way you could tie in. There was not a number that you could hear or something that could cue you. So we were going all day, And I was going, I had numbers come out of my head. There was like, you get $117,000. No, you get $217,000 because you went down and you were in the car and you had two people with you and you went down and you saw the accident. Then you came back, but you didn't cut. Wait, oh, didn't you? Now, then we almost made it one time, and we were all rooting for somebody to just come in and do it. He's going to make it, going to make it, going to make it. And then it came 5 o'clock and he said, cut. Then I walked over to Stanley and I said, Stanley, could I have one frame? I just want to, you know, show it to my kids. And Stanley said, nope. Just like that.
I remember exactly what he said. It was a Saturday, and it was golden time, which means it was double pay for the crew. It was 129 degrees, and we were wearing winter clothes.
Do we have a bleep machine on this show?
I ain't gonna say none of them words.
All right.
I'm not gonna make you famous. And Stanley said, look, now we finally got a master shot. We're there from 6 or 8 in the morning, but we left the hotel to drive up to Idlewild we were in Palm Springs. See, there's a very nice man, Stanley Kramer. He put the setting in Palm Springs in July. I'd heard Palm Springs was a terrific place. I'd never been out of New Jersey. I showed up there with a nice windbreaker, 129 degrees. And he said, all right, we won't print a foot of this. And all I could think of, that cost $80,000 today. $80,000. We won't print a foot of this. We'll get it Monday morning bright and early. And I went away thinking it was my fault. And until Monday morning, I was thinking, what did I do? What did I do? And when we got into the hotel, I started drinking. And I haven't stopped to this day. And I'm thankful that you didn't print a foot of it.
Well, you know, one of the nice things, when we all got together on the film, one of the nice things is that most of you guys thought that you were supposed to do all your own stunts. And when you saw some of the automobile stuff that some of the stunt guys had already done, I think that for a while you were considering having a meeting that maybe this was going a little bit far. This was really, after all, wasn't it probably the most violent picture made in all time? They talk about violence. Violence isn't only blood.
No.
This was violent. This was smashing.
Was a lot of smashing.
Oh, that wasn't that much fun. I once made a picture at Columbia, and trying to get paid was much more violence than that picture.
I remember one thing. I remember a lot of things because, as I recall, we all worked on this thing about 6 months, which is today unheard of. Everything's done, at the most, it's 6 weeks, yeah. And when you think of 6 months is a long, long time. I don't think there'll be many films that they'll spend that much time again. But at any rate, I remember one time we were in the desert in Palm Springs, and we were all out on the highway, sit in a car, of course, and Buddy and Mickey Rooney were in a little VW, and they were driving along, and I was in my truck, and we all stopped. And I remember there was some dialogue, and somewhere or another there was a funny little cricket in a bush. And the sound man said, hold it, I'm picking up a cricket in the bush. And Stanley came out, of course, and he said, what are we talking about, a cricket in the bush? He said, oh, I'm telling you, the sound guy said, there's a cricket, you can hear him, he's strong, and he's coming up over the dialogue. And if we can just correct that. And it's a wild thing, I guess, to correct a cricket. They had about 4 or 5 grips, and they went in and shook the bushes. Shook them real hard. Grips are big guys, as you know, and these are the carpenters, and these are the guys that cut bushes down one day or another. And so four of these big, beefy guys just shook the bush, man, like an earthquake. And we went back into the scene again, and we rolled in action and what have you, and the sound guy again said, I'm sorry, Stanley, I'm sorry. I'm still picking the cricket up. And so he said to a guy, go over there to the bush and cut some, listen to where the cricket is and cut the bushes down.
Get a machine gun and shoot the bush down.
So the guy went over with a big thing that looked like something right out of the Philippine insurrection, man. He had a machete like this, and he hacked into the bush, man. I thought, oh, gee, there, that little cricket really got it. And we went back into the scene again, and again the cricket was there. And the sound guy said, I can't believe what I'm hearing. The cricket's still there. Well, to make a long story
It was
short,
Ethel Merman's eyelids.
the next thing they did, Stanley said, he made a major decision. He said, burn the bush. And they literally, talk about violence, boy. I mean, this had nothing to do with the picture. It was a cricket. It was never to be seen in the movie. They burned the bush.
That's when I came in and thought I was Moses.
And they went through the scene, and some miracle or another, the cricket was still heard. I don't know how.
The trouble with moving pictures is that the director has a false sense of power, you see? I mean, you stand up on a platform or a parallel, and you look out, and you got a button in your hand, and when you press that button, maybe 4,000 people start to charge, and the explosions go off, and everything, all hell breaks loose. And you say, cut, and you say, let's do it again, it was no good. That's a false sense of power. Now, that cricket is just a symbol, really. That's a symbol of power. If you look at it that way, John, it won't hurt at all, and you'll never think of it again. Really, it won't.
I told Mickey. I must have told Mickey 8 times, Mickey, I think you better stop making that cricket noise because you're getting a little crazy.
I remember.
But he kept rubbing his legs together.
I remember one thing that I think is kind of interesting. There's a scene in Mad, Mad, Mad World where we're all up on a fire escape. I think most of you have seen that picture. Remember that Spencer Tracy opens up the suitcase and the money goes boom out into the area. In order to make the scene, of course, they had to use stunt people, and they didn't. They saved the actors for other little goodies, and so what they had to do was they had to make masks out of plaster of Paris. And I want to tell you, it's a wild thing. When they make you up, they take great hunks of plaster, put them on your puss, and put 2 little funny straws up your nose and 1 in your mouth, and you're sitting there like this. And the guy, there are a lot of us, most actors, comedians, but are very strange, myself included, and a little, tend to be a little crazy. And paranoid sets in, and claustrophobia, and God knows what else. And consequently, each person reacted differently to this. And they talk you through it. Now we're putting the plaster on, and the plaster will harden, and don't worry, and your head will feel like it's just full of lead. And then the eyes are closed, and the whole thing, and they begin to put this stuff on, and gee, it was a little frightening, to say the least. I can't speak for Buddy or Sid, but it was an unusual
I'd like
few
to
minutes.
speak for them. That was a piece of deathless prose, John, and it took us right into a commercial.
It did.
Everybody use
We'll be
this
right
product
back.
in case you got something better. Use.
You know, when we were casting Mad World, Bill Rose, who was the author, the writer, said we've got to get somebody who does mathematics, who can figure out the shares. We've got to get a guy who really talks with 11 marbles in his mouth and can garble this thing up enough so that the deal just makes sense, but it doesn't make sense. Well, of course, I think it must have occurred to 11 of us simultaneously that Sid Caesar had to be the fellow to play that part. I have never heard such an arrangement so well stated in my whole life as was stated in that film in terms of the division of the shares. Now, Sid, I have a clip, a kind of compendium of clips. Let me explain to you first about clips, about films. You know, Mad World was on television not too long ago, and it went evidently very well enough so that it is very limited for clips these days. Even though I produced and directed the film, it was sold for television, and I can't have unlimited showing of these clips because they intend to show it many times again, and I hope you'll see it and enjoy it, and whichever network is selling it to sponsors, bless you all. But they have arranged to give me, through the courtesy of both United Artists and the networks, a succession of clips which I've put together with some help. I put them together, and this is the cellar scene for Sid. He was trapped in the cellar through half of the picture in a hardware store. And I think that they got trapped because the door was locked by mistake. Slammed.
No, locked,
Lunchtime.
No, he locked up.
No, the old man locked it. He locked it because he thought it was closing time. Yeah. And they couldn't get out. During the course of time, he managed to set fire to it, to collapse staircases, to blow it up, to release all kinds of fireworks, to
drive a tractor.
There was a piece where you said, I had a real 16-pound sledge.
Yes.
We had there was no fake stuff. It was all real stuff that you would find in a hardware store. Black & Decker, all the other stuff. And you had a 16-pound sledge, and you said, okay, Sid, knock that door down. I said, oh. And it didn't go.
No, it didn't go.
But the third time it went down.
All right, but I'm going to show you these clips. They're not in order. They're just a kind of compendium of all of the time, a good deal of the time, spent in that cellar of the hardware store. Can we run the clip, please?
You're gonna, will you? Yeah.
Melville, don't you go in there or you'll be killed. You'll be blown to bits.
Monica, for heaven's sake, I just want to go in there to take a look. Why do you always imagine I can't do things for myself? Don't you think I got any sense at all? Why can't you have a little confidence in me?
Listen, for me, the funniest picture I had made up to this point was Judgment at Nuremberg, and there at the win. And I really look at this thing, and to me, it's a miracle. I'll never be grateful enough to you guys because this was a big thing in my life. You're my best friends. I really mean it. Johnny, I mean it. You look at me a little bit askance, but I do. Of all the people I've made films with, I see you guys more often. I mean it, and I do. And I talk to you more often. I have more fun with you than anybody else.
Well, I did something for you that I would never do for very few people. It's just, once was for the United States government, and the other one was for you. When I was shooting those Roman candles, and you were saying, get closer, 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 closer. And these Roman candles were going like this here, and I thought the stuntman was going to, the stuntman's going to do it. Then he said, now we go to close-ups. I said, close-ups? What do you mean close-ups? You go in there now, and I said, I heard that. Now we start rolling, and boom, Third World War.
I got it. You are brave, guys. Look, you know, all of us have got something. You got to think about heights, right?
How?
You know, you remember when we all went on the stage for the process? You go do process shots. We had this big ladder with everybody on the ladder on top of it. But when you go on the stage, you have a screen in the back, and it looks like you're hanging over the city, but it's just a screen, a process screen. And all the guys were on the ladder to make the close shots because we'd done them in longer shots with the stuntmen. I put him, knowing that heights bothered him, at the very bottom of the ladder, so that he was one step above the platform. One step above the platform. I warned him, don't look at the screen, Sid. Just hang on. You're supposed to be scared anyhow. And we cut him off right about at the knees, and he was hanging onto this ladder, but he looked at the screen. He went white and got sick. All he had to do was step 1/2 a foot onto the platform, and he didn't make it.
I almost
didn't make it. Who was on the top was Hackett and Rooney.
Right, me and Mickey, and it was 42 feet high.
Buddy, nobody said you weren't the bravest.
I was the bravest, I was the dumbest.
You're brave. We have to, there's a fellow with a son. What does that say, Bud? What does it say?
Commercial.
Please, a commercial, and we'll be right back.
I use that stuff all the time.
Well, buddy, let's talk about airplanes.
Okay.
You have a kind of simpatico for planes.
Yeah.
You and Mickey spent a lot of time in one, in this film, at least. I thought that, what was that, Frank Tallman, you remember Frank Tallman?
Yeah, the guy who flew
He lost, yeah, he had a bad accident after that, but Frank Tallman, in this film, flew the plane, ostensibly you were flying it, but he flew the plane through a Coca-Cola sign in the film, and it was made out of very thin paper. And it's that going through at 200 miles an hour is as slow as he could go to keep control because the clearance on either side was just about 4 feet. At 200 miles an hour, going through really what amounted to tissue paper, bruised that plane so badly, you know, really tore it up badly. And Frank said he'd never do that one, that particular thing again. I think I've got a little piece of that in the clip we've got, but I would like to talk to you about your experiences with Mickey, because I think some of them were funny, but you want to look at this first? Let's look at it.
Let's look at it later.
You want to look at it later? All right.
This is one thing. I remember one day, you made a big 40-foot hoop of steel, and then another 40-foot hoop of steel, and inside that was a cutout, what looked like the inside of an airplane that held 2 seats and safety belts. And that's all there was. Now, this was attached to one hoop that could spin around inside the other hoop and go in a circle this way and could twist it. So they put me and Mick in. They said, we make these shots just before lunch. Well, if they made it after lunch, you would throw up on the people down below who were shooting the pictures. But I didn't know that. And then they put us in there, we put on our seatbelts, and they start spinning us. We were in there for 7 days. Every day we were in there for 7 days, and they used about 1.5 minutes of it, which I thought that was awful. I thought you could have shot 1.5 minutes of it.
It was a great 1.5 minutes, buddy.
But it took 7 days. 7 days we lived inside that airplane, inside a cutout thing with just a belt.
Well, are you asking for more pay or greater footage or what?
I think there must be a better way to do that than, you know, I mean, made that picture in 1962.
Yeah. Well,
I still got a belt mark over here from hanging upside down in that seat.
Well, I can only tell you that the next time, I hope there is a next time, I'd like to find a better way to do that, buddy.
No, just
I haven't found a better way. I have to turn you upside down.
Now, the best part was me and Mickey following Eddie and Pete. They're playing the 2 cab drivers.
Yeah, Rochester.
Yeah, Eddie
and
Anderson.
Falk, Peter
Eddie
Falk.
Anderson. They're playing the 2 cab drivers.
Yeah.
Now, Eddie Anderson, Rochester, you all know is Rochester, he couldn't hear. Now, the 2 cab drivers are supposed to do identical things in the picture. So Falk is the cab driver. He can hear. So Stanley tells Anderson, Eddie, whatever he does, you do, which means on camera. If he looks this way, you look this way. If he runs around a tree, you run around a tree. Well, Peter Falk is from Actor's Studio, and he gets ready for the scene. He's priming himself. They're not even on camera. He's getting off in the corner, getting ready to do the scene. What do you expect me to give the information when the man don't tell me nothing? The man don't tell me nothing. So now, Rochester's doing whatever he told him. Do what he does. He's standing next to him. There's no camera, nothing. And he's doing... He's going around now, Falk, what does this man want from me? He goes over to Mickey. Do you know this man? Will you tell this man? Rochester comes over to Mickey. Do you know the man? Rochester, he didn't hear good, so he made up a word, Baze. And whatever you said to me, say Baze. You say, morning, he said, Baze. What for lunch? Baze. Baze. Well, then he said, what is the Baze? He'd do this. He'd give me Baze. What Baze? One morning, me and Mick are up kind of late, it's 3 in the morning. We're up early for the shooting. We dial Falk in the middle of the night. What? Balze. What the hell do you want now? But Mickey and I, we had a good time. We would crawl around through the shrubbery, doing all kinds of things and watching the other people. Winters would go around muttering to himself. And he had this big, nice face, see? And he'd go around doing the lines. I've been driving this furniture through from Modesto. This man stopped me. Get on a bicycle. Him on this damn bike riding this load of furniture from Modesto. He's going on there. The other guy going, boss, hey, the other guy said, the man didn't tell me. And Mickey and me, we're screaming. We didn't have no lines anyway. And we had the best time. I told Mickey I would pay to go there. I was just paid to show up every morning.
I give you my word, I was straight till I met these guys. Can we run the clip now,
Me
please?
and Mickey were the only guys normal in the whole picture, I'm telling you now.
All right, run.
They're all...
Put your little hands on the wheel. There, that's it. Now you have it. Now the feet on the rudder. You got it? There you go. Feet on the rudder. That's not... Who says this boy can't fly this whole plane? Hello, anybody on the ground? On the ground, anybody? We're up here. Can you hear us? I tell you, put him on. He said the fellow that was flying should be talking on this thing. What am I supposed to do? Everything? You want me to fly the airplane? You want me to work the radio? What are you, the hostess? We're down. We're on the ground.
I guess it was worth it.
Well, violence is destruction, that's all.
All right, it's time for a commercial? You're kidding. We didn't have any time after the clip. Well,
I'm going to
ladies
tell you
and
about Johnny
gentlemen.
Winters in the morning after that.
All right, we come into Johnny Winters in a minute, right? All right, we must take time. I'm sorry for commercial. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, we come now to a more civilized portion of the program. I don't know whether any of you in our studio audience, but I do hope some of the folks at home can, for example, take a look at the people in this car. Here are people, some of them quizzical, some of them, it seems to me, puzzled, maybe a little angry, a little apprehensive, but one absolute monster on the end. Look at that face. That man is a monstrous human being, quite evidently out of control. Well, John, I want to run your clip now because I want to say, for a man to go berserk, I've never seen anybody dismantle an entire garage.
Just this one thing.
Yes,
Here's what happened. You come to work in the morning. It's 6:30, 6:45. It's already over 100 degrees. I come out there, I've been in a car with Sid Caesar, Milton Berle, and they all got cigars this long. I don't smoke. I hate it. Now, the first thing you see Winters walking down the street. The first one says, "Morning, Mr. Winters." Anybody says, "Call yourself a Marine." You call yourself a United States Marine? Tie this man to that pole. You, hold the lions. We're not ready for that. The whip. I make a whip noise. He's alone in the street there somewhere. Alone. The guy has gone past. Pretty soon a crowd comes around. This one poor guy is carrying a heavy light, weighs 200 pounds. He stops to watch. Pretty soon a whole crowd. There's nobody in makeup. No one's in wardrobe. All of us in there, and Winters has now got a guy. "This man is up for court-martial, sir. Will you tell us what we want to know?" "No, I won't." "Now the lions." It's funny. When they finally let go the lions an hour later, then we started the day's work. But he used to hold them on every morning.
Now, before he speaks in defense of himself, a few moments of gentle dismantling of an entire garage. Will you run the clip, please?
Come on, Ray. Oh, better get out of here, mister. Why don't you leave us alone?
Okay, John. Oh,
Okay. Well, I think the thing that amazed me more than anything, amazed, I guess, all of us, was that this thing was, I don't know how many weeks, Stanley could tell you, that the guys, the special effects guys, spent rigging this thing, the grips and all the fellows. It took them literally weeks, I guess, to get the thing rigged and up and what have you, so everything would work. And the amazing thing is that, and we're all of us amazed time and time again by these guys, they did that, literally, that whole scene in one take. I mean, the gas station itself, everything worked, and just boom, this happened and that happened. There was one thing that I went to Stanley about. I still think back about that scene, and he wouldn't let me do it. The director is, for the most part, always protecting the actors, and they put in these guys, these stunt people, you know, and that are going to handle the scene. And I had the fortune to work. My stuntman was a fellow called John Hudkins, the Bear. They nicknamed him the Bear, and he was like a bear, a great Kodiak. And he would leap to do things. I'd say, "Hey, Bear, let me have..." No, I'll handle it. I've done 216 pictures. No, don't fool around with it, kid. No, there's no sense you're getting hurt. Let me do this. I wanted to drive the wrecker into the tower, and it was the final thing where the water tower is knocked over. And so I went to Stanley and I said, "I'd like to do that. That'd be kind of the icing on the cake." And he said, "No chance, kid. We can't take a chance now. We're too far into the picture to have the tower might come over that way." I never thought about that. Never thought about the tower falling the wrong way. I just thought it'd be fun to back into the tower, watch it go, you know. But Stanley, as I say, he said, "No, we'd pass on that." But it was, as I look back, there was an interesting thing too that the public never knew about. Thank God, because it would have been really a frightening thing for them to know about. The two guys, Marvin Worth
Kaplan.
And the other gasoline attendant,
Arnold Stang.
Arnold Stang.
Marvin Kaplan and Arnold Stang.
That's right, Marvin Kaplan and Arnold Stang. And Arnold was the small guy. And just about a week before we shot that scene, Arnold had a few days off and away from the script and went up to Hollywood to kind of relax, and he was by a swimming pool, his, I assume, and he fell and broke his arm. And so he came back to the desert to finish up this scene with the gasoline station and myself, and he was worked literally with a plaster cast on his over his coveralls. And I had to throw all this gear at him, and it was real gear. There was no fake gear. We were throwing tires and bottles and everything. And I was just thinking, my gosh, if I hit that arm. And I was worried sick about that poor guy, but it all kind of worked out.
You know, one of the things I remember, this is the kind of story you have to say, honestly, please believe me, cross my heart, it's true. There was a fellow who lived up the road in Palm Springs from this garage. And I swear to you this is true. One day he saw the garage, and the next day he didn't see it. The gas station, you know. And he came to one of the guys in the company and said, "What the hell happened to the garage?" It was gone. So we just cleared it out. A moving picture company clears everything out. After you've used it, everything's cleaned up and out. And I thought, you can see what you can perpetrate upon people. This is the making of a good ghost story, too. It suddenly occurs to me.
You understand? It just reminded me, talking of stuntmen, the stuntman for me, he taught me how to back and throw myself into the wall and where to put the pads and where this and where that. And he was the one who took the flops off the balcony when I took the sledgehammer back. He fell all over the place. I was looking, I said, "Are you hurt?" Because I was scared. I said, "Are you hurt?" He says, "No, just get in this position." And he did things, and all of a sudden I was walking through the parking lot, and I walked over to the parking lot, and he had an XKA GA Jaguar, whatever it is, and he was bent over with the cover like this over here, and he says, "Help, help, help, help." I said, "What's the matter?" This man fell off 60 feet, this jumped around, "Help, my back." Carry me, take me, help me and take me. I took him, I put him into the infirmary. He just bent over to put his coat around his car.
Maybe the fall had something to do with it.
No, I don't think so.
They're waving that thing. I never will become accustomed to this, and I really, it's not that I'm being creative about it, it's just that it is commercial time, and we'll be back in a minute. Gentlemen, the time has come, and I'm reluctant that it has, for me to say goodnight to you. I can't tell you how much I appreciate sharing the experience with you. I hope that you've had a couple of moments of experience and that we've had not only in reminiscence, but also in a little bit of provocation and experience.
Let's go for a take.
Fun. All right. Sid. Thank you. Good night. Thank you.
We gratefully acknowledge United Artists Corporation, Columbia Pictures, a division of Columbia Pictures Industries Incorporated, and National Telefilm Associates Incorporated for their generosity in permitting us to use the film clips shown on this program. This is Dick Tufeld speaking.